Hello, and thank you for watching this regional forecast for the Northeast. I'm Andrew Pritchard, meteorologist with Nutrien Ag Solutions. Well, cold temperatures spilling in from the Canadian Prairie to the Midwest and the Great Lakes has been the big weather story here, along with an active storm track across the East Coast. The good news as far as temperatures go in the Northeast is that the coldest core of this air, rather than spilling into the east, is going to slowly lift off to the north and east. So we will see a bit of a cool down here over the next couple of days, but we're not going to feel the bitterly cold air that they're getting in the northern plains and the upper Midwest. Active storm track continues along the East Coast here in the week 1 and week 2 time periods. We've got a couple storm systems that we will be talking about over the next week or so. Now, I mentioned colder air. This is a loop of temperatures here over the last 24 hours. You see this cold front making its way through the central U.S. into parts of the eastern Corn Belt, the Great Lakes down into the south, even making its way down toward the Gulf Coast as we head into the early morning hours today. As we look at the temperatures here early on this Tuesday morning, sub-zero temperatures across the Northeast into parts, or across the northern plains is the word I'm looking for, into the upper Midwest. The Northeast still dealing with warm air advection in advance of this storm system. So a nice morning as we wake up here with temperatures in the 40s and 50s across much of the Northeast region, but here we see that cold front moving out of the eastern Corn Belt into parts of western Pennsylvania and New York as we make our way into the mid-morning on Tuesday. 24-hour temperature change, of course, warm air advection once again in advance of that storm system. Temperatures across the East Coast anywhere from 10 to 20 degrees warmer than they were 24 hours at this time. But behind the cold front, temperatures across the Midwest. Our office here located in Champaign, Illinois. If you follow the color chart down to the bottom here, we're talking about temperatures that are 20 to 30 degrees colder than they were on Monday morning. Looking at the satellite picture then, as we wake up on Tuesday morning, we see this jet streak, the very strong core of jet stream winds making its way from the southern plains into the Northeast region. All sorts of cloud cover associated with this frontal boundary and that jet streak. And as we flip it over and look at the radar picture, all sorts of rain making its way along and behind the cold front today, which is not the typical alignment you see. But we do have a particular type of frontal boundary, a particular setup that can lend itself to this, with plenty of rain lingering behind the cold front as it makes its way through the area. Now, as we take a look at the last 48 hours of precipitation here from the southern plains into the eastern Corn Belt to the Northeast, this has been our active corridor over the last 7 days or so, and certainly over the last 48 hours. And that'll continue to be the case here as we head through the end of the week. Looking at today's surface picture, we've got an area of high pressure coming in behind the front. That's what's bringing the cooler air into the northern plains, the Midwest. Counterclockwise or clockwise flow around that, bringing cooler air over the top of the Great Lakes. That is going to keep lake effect snow in the forecast in this region, and then rain making its way along the frontal boundary as it moves through the Northeast region here through the remainder of the day. Cold air on the backside, that could lead to some snow across the Northeast region here. Heaviest snow going to be found in the coastal regions here, the exception being where we could have lake effect snow continuing across western portions of New York. We'll look at snow accumulation totals in a moment. Thursday, high pressure over the region, quiet conditions. The exception once again going to be lake effect snow across western New York. Otherwise, a quiet day expected across the Northeast region. Mostly quiet on Friday as well, but we do have our next area of low pressure beginning to lift some moisture northward from the Gulf and from the Atlantic. That's going to spread rain from south to north through the day on Friday, and then by the time we get to Saturday, a very rainy day expected across the Northeast region. The good news here is that it does look like this will be primarily a rainmaker, but really an unpleasant weekend ahead across the Northeast region. Now, what's driving all this? If we take a look at the jet stream, again, I pointed it out on the satellite picture, but here's this very strong core of jet stream winds. That, of course, associated with our frontal boundary. It's also associated with that large area of rain from the southern plains into the Northeast region. As we head through the next 24 to 48 hours, let me get this paused and we'll step through time. We'll watch this next jet streak coming in across the northern plains right here from the Canadian Prairie. That's going to lead to a little light snow from South Dakota to parts of Illinois. And it's going to bring a reinforcing shot of some cooler air into the upper Midwest and the northern plains as we head through the middle part of the week. As we then head into Thursday, we'll watch this next trough making its way across the central U.S. into the mid-south. By the time we get to the end of the week, this is what drives the development of an area of low pressure across the eastern Corn Belt, across the Northeast region, drawing plenty of moisture northward from the Gulf of Mexico into the Northeast region, producing a large corridor of rain across the East Coast. So it is this alignment, this trough in the jet stream, that leads to the very active pattern across the eastern U.S. It's just kind of a reloading of this pattern. Very strong jet stream winds coming in, digging a trough across the southern and southeastern U.S. leading to the development of low pressure somewhere in the mid-south, the eastern corn belt down to the southeast, with that area of low pressure then swinging off to the north and to the east. As we just take a look at the next 48 to 60 hours here, we'll again watch this frontal boundary bringing rain across the northeast region with snow transitioning on the backside here where we've got colder air coming in from the northeast, and again high pressure bringing northeasterly or northwesterly flow across the Great Lakes over the next 24 to 48 hours, perhaps beyond into the next 72 hours, keeping lake effect snow in the forecast. So we're at Tuesday evening now, watching the precipitation switch over to snow from west to east. By the time we get to the overnight hours into early Wednesday morning, all snow as the precipitation moves off to the east, clearing the east coast here by midday on Wednesday. That brings precipitation to an end for just about everyone except for the far north and western area here where we could have some lake effects snow continuing into Wednesday night and Thursday morning. Another little disturbance sneaks through the Great Lakes here as we get into Thursday afternoon, Thursday evening, perhaps bringing some light snow to the northern portions of the northeast region by the time we get to the day on Friday. Total accumulated snow forecast through Thursday night, so this is including Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. We'll take a closer look here at the northeast region. The heaviest snow going to be found here in the lake effect snow regions here, where we could see north of 6 to 10 inches of snow. Elsewhere across coastal areas of the northeast here, from eastern Pennsylvania through New Jersey into portions of Connecticut and Massachusetts and Rhode Island. That's where we're talking about maybe 3 inches or snow, maybe 4 to 5 on the high end. As we take a look a little bit longer range, we'll look at the European long-range model here. We'll let this play out until I get the scroller and bring it back to today, Tuesday, watching this system move on off to the east. We looked at it already in the high-resolution model here, the high-resolution NAM. Here we're heading into Wednesday night and now Thursday morning. Here you're seeing this little system sneaking across the Great Lakes, perhaps bringing some light snow flurries to far northern areas here, northern Maine, perhaps northern New Hampshire and Vermont, as well as far northern New York, seeing some light snow flurries late Thursday into the early morning on Friday. Now, Friday is mostly quiet. This is 7 p.m. Friday. We're just now seeing the rain begin to lift into parts of the northeast region here, southern Pennsylvania, maybe picking up on some sprinkles late in the day on Friday. But really, it's Saturday that this system overspreads the northeast region. Heavy rain, blustery conditions, a cool rain too, so not enjoyable at all across much of the northeast region on Saturday. The potential bright side might be dry slot punching in here as we get into the mid and late part of the day on Saturday, perhaps bringing precipitation to a close, but this is a big, messy storm system, and so we've even got precipitation wrapping around on the backside all the way back to the Great Lakes at this point. A bit of a weaker secondary area of low pressure found here back toward the Great Lakes. So precipitation going to be in the forecast as we head through the weekend. And as we start to sort out some uncertainties, we'll be able to talk about whether or not we're going to see some snow, accumulating snow sneaking in on the backside here Sunday into Monday. But for now, a very rainy Saturday seems to be the certainty with this storm system as it makes its way through. Total accumulation from the precipitation here, we'll just take it through the day on Saturday. Again, seeing the rain stack up as it moves through. Let's go ahead and jump back. I meant to pause that here when we get to Saturday. Looking at the total accumulated precipitation from that storm system as it makes its way through, talking about precipitation on the order of 1 to 3 inches, especially toward coastal areas through the next week or so. The total snow forecast, again, we already kind of covered this, about 3 inches or so along coastal areas here from eastern Pennsylvania into far eastern and southeastern Maine. That includes, of course, southeastern New York, Massachusetts, Connecticut, and Rhode Island. Taking it a bit further then, as we include the weekend storm system, this is where perhaps some snow comes in on the backside, but not looking like a significant crippling snowstorm across the northeast just yet. But the wild card there, or the disclaimer, I should say, would be that we do have lower certainty as we get beyond that, how the evolution on the backside of the storm system is going to unfold Sunday and Monday. So let's leave snow accumulation talk here for the weekend system for our Wednesday, or our Friday, I apologize, forecast video. Let's talk temperatures then. We have a bit of a roller coaster ride. Warm air advection in advance of the storm system, the cold air coming in on the backside. That's going to send our temperatures for a bit of a tumble here for the next 24 hours. Let's go ahead and take the drawings off here and just look at what happens over the next 5 days or so. We see the front come through, bringing cooler temperatures. Again, the core of that going to be lingering back here across the northern plains, the upper Midwest, so that is good news here. Our temperatures don't necessarily plummet. Cooler temperatures linger through the middle and later part of the week, but then in advance of our weekend storm system, we see that warm air advection feeding back in advance of that. So temperatures back on the rebound as we head into the weekend. But you know how this works. On the backside, cooler air filtering back in. So a bit of a roller coaster as we head through the next 7 days. A couple snapshot looks here at some specific cities, looking at Maine first, starting off to the north, Caribou. Here you see your temperatures dive over the next 24 hours, a high of 12 on Wednesday, climbing back to near 40 degrees for Friday and Saturday, and then that next cold front moves through as we head through Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of next week. Syracuse, New York, same thing. We see cooler temperatures move in, 30s for the next couple of days, warming back into the mid-40s Thursday and Friday. The next cold front moves through, dropping things back into the mid-30s. And then a little more subtle here in Pittsburgh, temperatures dropping into the 30s for the day today. For your high temperatures, that cold front sneaks through, rebounding as we head into the weekend, Thursday and Friday, climbing back into the mid-40s. The next cold front moves through on the backside of this storm system, dropping highs back into the 30s, about a 10-degree drop there from Friday into Saturday. A broader look then, your high temperatures for the day on Tuesday, warm in advance of that storm system, although temperatures are going to be falling. We'll hit our high temperatures in the morning across especially portions of western central Pennsylvania and New York. Expect those temps to fall through the day today. Highs only in the 20s and 30s on Wednesday. Again, watch the transition here. Here's the bitterly cold air. Instead of spilling to the southeast, it lifts off to the north and to the east here, already lifting out of the region here Wednesday into Thursday, Friday, and then Saturday, really warming up in advance of that next storm system. Your overnight lows here, we can see the same thing. Bitterly cold, almost 20 degrees below zero in some areas, the Dakotas, Minnesota, and Wisconsin tomorrow morning. That air begins to recede off to the north by Thursday. Friday, we're back above zero across the entire northern plains and the Great Lakes. Temperatures below zero across northern Maine and into the 20s across Pennsylvania, but starting to rebound as we head into the weekend. As always, Eric Snodgrass will have our long-range U.S. focused weather analysis on Wednesday morning, and I will be back to talk about the Northeast region specifically on Friday. Have a great day.